My engagement celebration was meant to be the most joyful moment of my life. The venue glowed with gentle melodies, twinkling candlelight, and the fragrance of lilies and sparkling wine. Guests were laughing, enjoying drinks, and offering warm congratulations to me and Ethan, the man I'd spent 6 years creating a future with. Yet beneath the cheerful toasts and warm embraces, my family was orchestrating something unthinkable. It began 2 weeks earlier when my mother summoned me to the dining room with her overly soft tone, the one she used when she wanted something significant. "You know your brother's wedding is approaching," she said, fiddling with her bracelet as if gearing up for a battle. "And you haven't touched that $100,000 Grandpa left you for your wedding." I froze. "I'm saving it for my wedding." "Well, Liam's wedding comes first," she replied with a syrupy smile. "He set his heart on that resort in the Bahamas. It would mean so much if you'd let us borrow the money." I stared, incredulous. "You want me to hand over my wedding fund?" "Not hand over," my father interjected from the doorway. "Just lend it. You and Ethan can have a simple garden ceremony. You're not into extravagance anyway." I looked between them, stunned. "You're asking me to sacrifice my dreams for his lavish party?" Mother's expression soured. "It's not about you, Elise. Your brother's the only son and he's marrying into the Wilsons. They have powerful connections." "And what about Ethan? What about me?" I asked, reeling. "You'll get it when you're older," Dad said icily, then left as if the discussion was finished. But I held my ground. For 2 weeks, the atmosphere at home was stifling. They tried guilt trips, manipulation, even tears. Mother spread word to relatives that I was selfishly refusing to support my brother in his time of need. I brushed off the whispers and judgmental glances. Ethan kept reassuring me, "You don't owe them your future, Elise." And I trusted him. For once, I put myself first. But I never imagined they'd strike back so cruelly. The night of the engagement party, everything seemed perfect until my brother arrived late, visibly intoxicated, tossing his jacket onto a chair as if he owned the evening. My father gave him a subtle nod, then scanned the crowd for me. Spotting me by the dessert table, Ethan's arm around me, his face hardened. He approached deliberately, like a man suppressing fury. "We need to talk," he growled through clenched teeth. "Right now at my engagement?" I asked, shocked. "You're disgracing this family," he hissed, grabbing my arm. Ethan stepped in. "Sir, with respect, stay out of this," Dad snapped, pushing him back. The music stopped. Every guest turned as my father's voice grew louder. "You ungrateful child, you owe your brother everything, this party. You don't deserve it." I tried to pull free, but his grip tightened, his eyes blazing. "Give him the money or I swear." Then it happened. He struck me a sharp, open-handed slap in front of 50 guests. My necklace snapped off. My head spun from the force and the room seemed to freeze. Mother gasped, but it was more from embarrassment than shock. Liam chuckled awkwardly, sipping his drink. Ethan rushed to me, cradling my face, shaking with rage. "You just struck your daughter," he said, voice trembling, "at her engagement." "She brought it on herself," Dad barked. "She's ungrateful. We raised her and this is her repayment." I stood there, cheek stinging, staring at a man who just destroyed the last shred of my desire to belong to that family. I didn't cry. Instead, I turned to Ethan and whispered, "Let's leave." We walked out without another word. The silence behind us was heavy. I could sense the gossip starting, the scandal blossoming like a wound. But I didn't care. Something inside me had broken in the most empowering way. They wanted to steal my future? Fine, I'd take theirs, and I knew exactly how to begin. The next morning, my cheeks still throbbed, but it wasn't the pain that lingered. It was their silence. No calls, no apologies, not from Mom, Dad, or Liam. They acted as if nothing had happened. Ethan made me breakfast, trying to keep things light, but I saw the tension in his eyes. "You need to act," he said quietly. "This isn't just about a slap. They humiliated you and they'll keep doing it." I nodded. I already had a plan. I'd been holding on to something. A document from years ago my parents likely forgot existed. See, Grandpa left me $100,000 for my wedding, but that wasn't all. Before he passed, he quietly transferred the deed to their house, his original property, to me. He'd said, "One day they'll forget you're their own. When that happens, you'll need something to remind you that you're not powerless." Back then, I didn't fully grasp his words. Now I did. I retrieved the file from a locked box. There it was. The property deed, title holder Elise Carter, signed and sealed. They didn't know I legally owned their home. They thought it was still in Grandpa's name or perhaps theirs after the estate was settled. But Grandpa had skipped them entirely. He didn't trust them. He trusted me. I contacted my lawyer, a sharp yet compassionate woman named Clara. She reviewed the documents and confirmed, You have full legal rights to sell this property. Just give the word. I didn't say yes immediately. I wanted them to see it coming. First, I sent a formal notice in a sleek silver-embossed envelope informing them of an ownership review. No threats, just a hint. 2 days later, Mom called. "Elise, what's this letter?" she demanded, voice sharp. "It's about the house," I said calmly. She scoffed. "We've lived here for 2 decades. You can't just—" "I can actually," I interrupted. "I own it. Grandpa left it to me, not you or Dad." Silence. "You wouldn't evict us," she whispered, her confidence fading. I smiled grimly. "I'm giving you the same respect you showed me when Dad struck me in front of 50 people and you stood there like I deserved it." She started yelling, calling me selfish, cruel, saying she regretted having me. I let her rant until she was breathless. Then I said, "You have 30 days." I hung up. I wasn't finished. Ethan and I attended Liam's wedding, invited only because I hadn't yet gone public with my plan. I arrived in a sharp black dress, my cheek healed, my demeanor colder than steel. Liam smirked at me during the reception, acting as if nothing had happened. "Good to see you finally showed up," he said. "I hope you enjoy the honeymoon," I whispered back, "because when you return, Mom and Dad won't have a house to greet you in." He laughed, then saw my expression and stopped. 2 weeks later, the sale was finalized. I sold the house to a developer planning to tear it down and rebuild. A bright red notice was posted on their door, "Property sold. Vacate in 14 days. My phone rang endlessly. I didn't pick up. When they appeared at my doorstep, tears streaming, I let them stand on the grass. "Is this fair?" Dad roared. "No," I said, but neither was striking me at my engagement or favoring a son over a daughter for 28 years. "We gave you everything," he shouted. "You took everything," I corrected. "Now I'm just balancing the scales." They pleaded for the first time in my life, but I was done. I watched them leave, their belongings stuffed into Liam's truck. It wasn't vengeance, it was justice. And it was only the start. 3 months after the sale, life felt quieter, but healing wasn't complete. The world thought I'd moved on, but betrayal doesn't fade just because papers are signed. I questioned if I'd gone too far, if my actions were just a mask for pain. Then, a letter arrived in my mother's handwriting, sent by mail, as if guilt couldn't travel digitally. I left it unopened for 2 days. When I read it, the words cut deeply. "We raised you. We loved you. You're tearing your family apart out of spite. You sold our home, your home, and now your father's health is failing. Are you satisfied?" No apology, no recognition of their actions, just blame. I burned the letter in a fire pit that night. Ethan handed me the lighter, his silent support saying everything. I wasn't wrong to walk away. Then an unexpected call came from a familiar number. Margaret Voss, CEO of a top-tier consulting firm where I'd interned years ago. "Elise," she said warmly, "I've seen your work with the housing nonprofit. Your recent equity project is inspiring. We're opening a Seattle office. I want you to run it." I nearly dropped the phone. "An executive position?" "Yes," she said. "Full authority, full pay, full freedom." I accepted. That night, Ethan and I packed for Seattle. I looked around our apartment, not out of nostalgia, but because it represented the life I'd built myself. 2 months into my new role, I attended a company gala in Los Angeles. My speech there went viral. I shared my story, not every raw detail, but enough. I spoke of family betrayal, the lie of unconditional love, and how those who raise you can try to diminish you. The room was quiet until it erupted in applause. Afterward, a young woman approached me by the elevator. "Your story saved me," she said, eyes wet. "My parents made me give up my savings for my brother's business, and I thought I was the issue. Now I know I'm not." I hugged her. I didn't need her words, but they reminded me my pain had meaning. 2 weeks later, I visited my hometown for a property check. By chance, I ran into Liam outside a shopping center. He looked worn, unshaven, eyes shadowed. He blinked when he saw me step out of a sleek gray car. "So the rumors were true," he muttered. "Which ones?" I asked, smiling. "That you sold the house to make a point." I tilted my head. "No, I sold it because you all crossed me first for years." He looked away. "Mom's been sleeping on my floor." "Sounds cozy," I said. "Maybe next time she'll bring a whip." He flinched. "You've changed." "No," I said, stepping closer. "You just didn't see how strong I was when I stayed quiet." He had no response. Back in Seattle, life brightened. I started a program for women who'd faced family betrayal, called the First Haven, for all the daughters told they'd never be enough. At its launch, I gave one final speech. I was struck at my own engagement. But that wasn't the day I shattered. It was the day I began to rebuild. We are not what they did to us. We are what we create from it. Applause, tears, hope. My parents, I never saw them again. but sometimes I picture them driving by where their house once stood. In its place is a shelter for single mothers, funded by the very money they tried to take from me.